Hey everyone, welcome to my next installment of Building a Rock Solid Team. My name is Mike Gelman with High Five Career Coaching, and I'm going to share with you some 5 tips as well as a few other guidelines for creating a shared vision for your team. And I thought I would just start with, for those of you that have might currently have one, or maybe you've developed one in the past. Sometimes you're not quite sure exactly what it does for you. And so I'm going to share with you first just a few of the benefits of having a shared vision. I have about 20 years experience developing teams as a coach and consultant, and have seen kind of the worst and those that are excellent at it, and so I'm going to share with you just a few of my experiences with some of the teams. So one is those teams that have a strong vision have a greater focus and alignment. So a vision is, what is a vision? It's something that is basically a future state, something that a future reality that we are wanting to create or step into. And so it helps to create that alignment. A second thing that a strong vision does is it pulls your team into the future, right? It's something that is compelling and motivating enough that people are moved and motivated to pursue that, right? That's something they want a taste of that future. So they're willing to work towards it. They're willing to overcome obstacles to get there. And there's that level of commitment versus, a vision that's not that compelling to them or not motivating. When they encounter obstacles, they're not necessarily going to be committed to doing whatever it takes to get there. Another thing that a strong vision does is it releases untapped energy, and it generates new energy that didn't exist before, and it trains our minds to accept it as if it's real. When it's that compelling, and with some of the tips I give you, we start to think about, our brains start to accept it like this is just a fait accompli, right? It's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. How do we go about accomplishing it? So here are my five tips or strategies for creating a compelling vision. The first is to involve your team if at all possible, right? It's one thing for the leader. I know strong leaders often will have a strong vision. I agree. At the same time, there's so many examples of teams I've worked with the strong leader has a strong vision, but nobody else is coming along for the ride. Have you experienced that? So surely you could try to sell people on the vision and all that after you've already created it. That's often a lot harder, but that is a strategy, that is an approach. What I find even more effective is if you engage your team in co-creating that vision with you as the leader. Hey, Steve. So one of the key things is to really ensure representation. If you have a large team, a large department, if you have a couple hundred, it might not be realistic to have everyone in the room, although that would be great. There's ways you can structure the conversation for that to happen. One of the other things, though, is to have a cross-representation, different levels of the organization and different functions in the organization. So that is something, a way that you can include people. A second strategy is, hey, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can look at what other company visions are. So do some research, and you don't have to do it all. You can have team members do that. I'm going to share with you a few examples, or a couple examples of visions with you. in just a moment. So the third tip is to imagine it as if it's already become a reality, right? And one way you can do that is the language you use or the images you use, right? You can use a poster or what's called a vision board, a narrative format, right? Kind of a longer description, or it could just be a simple statement, right? There's different ways that you can create a vision, and there's more than those, but those are three of the most common. And the more specific you are and more vivid you are with that, the more that's going to steep in and train our subconscious mind and drive our activities to move towards it and create that alignment. So I'm going to go ahead and share. So bear with me here. I'm going to share. Let's see here. Give me one moment here. This one first here. Okay, so here's a narrative vision, and this happens to be High Five's vision, although it's evolving a little bit here, but this is what we've got so far. All right, so it's written in the present tense, so I'm not going to read it all to you, but it's written in the present tense. You know, we inspire individuals, leaders, and teams. So it has your audience, right? So who's a vision impacting, right? And what is happening with it? Well, we're helping people with their careers to lead fulfilling, successful careers, right? And some descriptive language. This is where the vividness comes in, beyond their deepest imagination, right? And then it continues on, okay? In terms of how we want to be viewed, and we've created a calm, safe harbor. So you're painting a picture, basically, of what people will see and feel, maybe even what they'll hear once they arrive. And so that's one type of vision. And let me share with you another type. I'm going to share a tab. Okay, this is an organization I used to work for, the San Diego Zoo Global. And I used to be involved in facilitating strategic planning, and we would create, you know, the vision and the mission and all of that. And so, as you can see, their vision is just a simple statement. And that can be effective also, right? Something that people can remember. So there's a beauty to that I like. So their vision is, we will lead the fight against extinction. Okay? So that's very clear that what role they want. So in a day-to-day basis, as employees are trying to decide, you know, what takes priority, that can help determine what takes priority, particularly combined with a mission statement. But the vision is, again, the future state. It's aspirational. And it can be written as if it's already happened, which is my preference, or it could be written such as we will, right? This is what we're intending to do. I think another vision was it Honda that had the vision? It was like beat Toyota or crush Toyota. That's it. It was like a two-word vision. But it was effective to rally everyone around that. Okay, and so again, a vision doesn't have to be long, but I'm just sharing with you different styles. A third vision could be a vision board. So I'm going to go ahead and share with you another example. And this one, I'll forewarn you, isn't just dedicated to business. This one is actually a where did it go? It's not showing up here. I might not be able to show it to you. Hold on one second. Aha, there we go. Okay. This is just an example of a vision board, and you can have one dedicated just to your business, which is the upper right-hand corner here. You'll see I've got the academy, I've got some more books, I've got in the background a pipeline of money, whatever it is. So this is just this is meant to really just illustrate what a vision board is. If you're not familiar with it, what you would want to do is have one dedicated for your team's vision or your organization's vision, and have different images. You can create a poster. There's different ways you can create it. So I just wanted to share with you, and it can have some words and other things as well. So those are just some examples there of some ways that you can bring your vision have some clarity around the vision. Okay. So a fourth strategy or something to keep in mind is that your vision should incorporate your values as a team. They should be reflected within the vision, right? So you have that alignment. And if you miss my broadcast on values, if you go back about 2 weeks on LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube, you'll see my broadcast on values, and you can check that out. So I invite you to check that out. The fifth one is also the fifth tip or strategy would be, again, don't get too caught up. I've seen too many teams get caught up trying to wordsmith the vision, and you could spend literally 10 hours in a day doing that. I do not recommend that. What I recommend, and there's different ways to go about if you're trying to create a narrative vision or even a simple statement, there's different ways to facilitate it. If you're curious on different ways, you can do that as a team. Reach out to me, private message me. We can have a conversation around some ideas around that. But have a volunteer committee, or you could have you could strategically assign individuals, but I would suggest having a volunteer committee to do the wordsmithing and to flesh out the vision. So get it to a point where gets the gist of it, right? The gist of what people are wanting, and then hand that off and allow the committee to take that offline and work on it and then bring it back. So look at it as an iterative process versus just a one and done process, because that whole process will allow your team to start to internalize and take ownership of the vision, which is another benefit of involving them. So if you as the leader are just coming up with the vision, hey, it's great if everyone buys in, and that may work. Oftentimes they don't, and and even if they do buy in, it might not be connected to their everyday activities. So when they're involved in creating it, it becomes more internalized, and again, in their daily actions, there's things that you can use to reinforce and remind people and encourage that alignment. But without involving them, you lose a little bit. So those are my 5 strategies. 1, involve your team, research other company visions, imagine it as if it's become a reality, reference your team's values and ensure that they're reflected in there, and then establish that volunteer committee to flesh it out and bring it back to the larger team as a whole. So those are some strategies there. There's a lot more that goes into it. That's not necessarily the easiest thing to do, but I think you'll find that your team will be engaged with the activity. Not only is it fun, it's also a key tool for increasing the team's overall performance and progress towards where you want to go. So those are my tips. Hope it was helpful. And Steve, good to see you on here. Feel free to share this out. And we'll see you next Tuesday at 5. I will be on again this Friday at noon. And so tune in for that. I usually will do free-for-all questions, career leadership questions, or interviews. I just started doing some interviews on Friday. So I may have a guest interview Friday. Not certain yet. If not, be prepared to bring your questions with you. Happy to provide some coaching advice and get you on your way. Take care, everyone. Bye.